Help new Muslims in Africa. Every prayer, every Surah Fatiha they recite, you'll share in the reward. Your £50 will go towards sponsoring one person's education and meals for a month. 500 supports 10 and 5,000 helps sponsor an entire village. Donate now. Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. Seldom do we see a guest who starts interrogating the host and succeeds to such a degree that he figuratively takes down his pants in front of the whole nation. The guy with no pants that I'm referring to is Piers Morgan, and the one doing the pulling is Low Key. This was the one moment that stood out to the people. You could see it in the comment section, you could see it on Twitter. It was this very moment.
I have a question for you. News Corps International had a charitable arm which funded the Jerusalem Foundation, which builds illegal settlements.
What's this got to do with me?
Illegal settlements in
What's it got
Jerusalem.
to do with me?
Do you condemn Rupert Murdoch?
What's it got to do with me?
Do you condemn Rupert Murdoch? This is a letter from Netanyahu's political office. It is a list of individuals that Netanyahu considered to be funders of his political campaign. There is a name on this list. The name is Rupert Murdoch, your employer.
You know what, Loki?
It seems he funded Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes, indeed, as you guys saw, Piers was getting cooked. And if that didn't satisfy Low Key, he got hungry again and then started cooking the guest.
I have a question for the guest. Now, the organization Act for America, which you represent and are a part of, seems to be quite the patriotic outfit. It's also been criticized widely as Islamophobic, but I have some questions about the finances of your organization. It's funded by the Fairbrook Foundation, which has funded the Central Fund of Israel, the Zionist Organization of America, and also illegal settlements in the West Bank. In addition to that, your organization, Act for America, has been funded by the Becker Foundation, which has funded Christians United for Israel and the Israel Project. In addition to that, your organization was also funded by the Emez Foundation, which funded the Israel Project, the Central Fund of Israel, and the Zionist Organization of America. How, in any way, do you stand for peace when the organization which you front is also funded by organizations that are invested in illegal settlement in the West Bank?
You know, both of these guys are trying to play it off like, yeah, so what if we're getting funding from the other side? We're still in the middle. No, you morons. It clearly shows you're not in the middle. It's called in business ethics, as you may know, conflict of interest. When you get funding from one side, it makes it more difficult for you to be objective. It's fine if you don't say you're objective and you plod along, but if you claim you're objective as well, then that claim can be challenged, and this is a very strong argument to prove that you are indeed not objective. And Piers stuck by his guns, yeah? That was the strongest argument. Like, how does it affect me? Like, it's got nothing to do with me. It does. He's paying your wage. But the woman didn't catch on to this. You're gonna see her now outside job centre in the rain. Why? Because she bit the hand that feeds her.
Say that again?
Do you condemn the expansion of the settlements on the West Bank in the past year?
Yes, I do. I think they are going overboard with the settlement.
Okay, good.
I think
This was another bit of research that I found delightful.
No, I'm saying there is a complete difference between one of the most powerful armies in the world, which has literally a key unit within the Israeli military, Unit 9900, is the visual unit which uses satellites in the sky that can pick off a bit of chewing gum on your shoe, okay? You're talking about actors that are shooting rockets which do not have precise targeting against one of the most powerful air forces in the world.
You know what I mean? It just shows that it is deliberate, targeted killings.
The Likud platform, which is its charter, states very clearly, there will be no Palestinian sovereignty between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. The Likud charter calls for the complete obliteration of Palestine and all of the rights of Palestinians.
Another banger, as they say. Yes, this is Israel's version of From the River to the Sea. It's in their charter, mate. No one talks about this. The talking point becomes that of the occupied rather than the occupier. Yeah, that's what the media tries to spin it as. How many times have you heard this point that Loki has mentioned? The Likud. How many of you even know what that is? Boy, is this kept quiet.
So you would categorize what they've been doing as resistance, not terrorism?
They are resistance groups, as the vast majority of humanity is represented by governments that define them as resistance factions, including the government of Switzerland. What's more neutral than the government of Switzerland? It doesn't prescribe these organizations.
Kudos to this guy. And he set up his argument as well by saying you had individuals like Nelson Mandela, amongst others, who were regarded initially as terrorists, extremists. However, later, they became celebrated by those very mouths that called them those words.
Yeah, I mean, I watched this BBC documentary which had all the footage from the music festival. And honestly, Loki, it was one of the most sickening 2 hours of my entire life.
Have you been on social media for the past year?
Yes, I have.
You have seen a constant stream of mutilated
Yes, I have.
children. You have
Yes, I
seen a
have.
constant stream
Yes.
of people being lifted up out
Which
of
you're very
the rubble.
keen- which you're
how,
very-
how can you
which
how can
you-
you even bring into the conversation 2 hours of footage in comparison to 12 months and 77 years of this type of treatment?
So
of
the
Palestinians?
deaths of
But I have a question.
It seems that Piers Morgan, if you find a copy of his passport, under date of birth it's going to say October 7th. Because honestly, it seems like this guy was born on this day. He has no recollection of anything before this day. Yeah, forget the occupation and all that. October 7th, mate. That's the thing that's been drilled into this guy's head. And now, the amount of times he mentioned the BBC documentary. Who cares about the British bullcrap corporation? Who even takes it seriously? Yes, every now and then they may do a bit of justice to one side, but let's be frank, they've been rubbish when it comes to this Palestine genocide.
Can you think of one thing people have done to Israel that's wrong?
I think giving it $8.7 billion in military aid after it's carried out a terrorist attack.
So no attack on Israel has ever been anything but justified. Is there one thing that's been done to Israel that you think is wrong?
Not right now. I
Okay.
can't think of that.
And that's...
I'll let you know.
This was hilarious. This was right towards the end of the interview, and he was vying for scraps for Israel with any little thing that he could muster, but he was given nothing. In fact, even America started catching strays.
Was genocide committed on the Aboriginal people of Australia?
I'm not going to go over the whole
They
history of
still
genocide.
exist, so therefore your argument is that they were not subject to genocide
Okay,
following the
but do
arrival
you-
of Captain Cook.
This was another good point about Captain Cook. Yeah, just because they are survivors doesn't mean genocide's not taking place. These guys, again, it's selective amnesia. On the one hand, they're very quick and sharp, but on the other hand, huh? Palestine? What's that? Alright guys, let's leave it there. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.